Welcome to the Confidence Through Health podcast. My name is Jerry Snyder. As a health, wellness, and sports performance coach, my goal each week is to bring you experts to help you take control of your health and build your self-confidence. Thanks for including me today on your journey to better health. I'd like to thank our sponsor for this episode, All In Health and Wellness. If you're looking for a health coach, you're looking for a sports performance coach, you're looking for nutrition guidance, like for instance, a meal-by-meal plan that will help you understand how to eat. It will teach you how to eat, and it will give your body, your cells, the proper nutrition to feel great and be able to perform at your best, not just physically, but also emotionally and mentally. If you're looking for those things, you're looking for the key to improve your sports performance, both from a nutrition standpoint and an exercise physical standpoint and a mental standpoint as you approach your athletic event. All In Health and Wellness is able to help in these areas. Go to allinhealthandwellness.com and you'll find the contact information for how to get in touch with them and get started on the plan that will improve your life. Dr. Kissen, I want to thank you for being a guest on the Confidence Through Health podcast.
I'm so happy to be here. I'm excited.
And there's, the stuff that you deal with is obviously becoming more and more like important for people, and it's increasing in like the range that people are having to deal with it, and especially for people that have teens. I think it's skyrocketing. But before we get into like the nuts and bolts of all this stuff, but anxiety is something that a lot of us deal with, maybe in like a situational or periodic moment.
Yeah.
A lot of people deal with it from a chronic long-term standpoint, right?
Right.
So what got you into dealing with, or helping with people and dealing with anxiety?
That's a great question. No one ever asked me questions about myself, so thanks.
You're welcome.
It's like this now I'm getting I'm getting a little therapy for me.
Right.
So
Exactly.
well, I actually have a background in business and marketing and health administration. And I come from a family of psychologists. And so, like any child of a psychologist deciding I'm not going to
Right.
get into the mental health therapy world. And then I had my own struggle with anxiety, with panic, where I didn't even know it was a panic attack. I thought I was dying, and it's not uncommon for a decent chunk of the population will have a panic attack. But I didn't know what it was, and it felt so scary. And I definitely, instead of talking about it, was just like, that was really weird, and just tried to like white knuckle and function
Right.
with. But then trying to not have a panic attack definitely can bring on more panic attacks.
Sure.
And so I found myself like, what is this like terrible, dready feeling? And then I, at the time, was living in Austin, Texas, and I was by the university, and I ended up like volunteering in a study on like cognitive behavioral therapy for like a treatment for panic. And I was like, wow, so therapy can be very directive and psychoeducation and doing exercises and learning that it can be a very kind of active approach to managing different challenges. And then from there, I was like, wow, this is a very different kind of therapy version of mental health. And then kind of went back to school to get my PhD, a little 6 or 7 year thing, and combined my interest on the administrative side of like running a healthcare business and trying to bring to people this very empirically supported treatment approaches.
Right. Well, and that's what I saw when I was researching what you're doing and how things are working, is that it's very much, it looks like it's very much personalized to the person, but also taking, the things that are working.
Right.
Not just like throw spaghetti against the wall, or like, oh, just take this medication and mask the symptoms, but like, let's get down and really figure out what's going on.
Yeah. And it's we humans are filled with mystery, and there's a lot, there are parts that we can determine what is working and what's effective. And there are parts that there's this spiritual component that we're just led to what makes sense. And so understanding that, can we at least figure out, like, what are the elements that are proven effective and when to inject them, including them in the protocol, and
Mhm.
always making room for the wholeness of each person. That's
Right.
sort of the given
Yeah.
of the healing relationship.
Right. Right. And it's things that we can do on our own. Like it's not necessarily like, oh, I'm having anxiety or I feel like I might be having a panic attack. Come on, I need to go see my doctor. Like these are tools that like, oh, if I feel that coming on, I can try and manage that myself, right?
Yeah, so I'd say at Light on Anxiety and myself as a clinician, uh, always striving for everyone to become their own anxiety coach
Hmm.
and empowerment of
Right.
sometimes it's some good psychoeducation of understanding, wow, okay, that was just a false alarm. That wasn't really
Oh,
a
right.
problem. That was my nervous system, and that could be enough. Sometimes it's giving someone the education and then the practice together of I could have someone go home and practice something, but having someone by your side practicing together can be powerful. But
Right.
sort of when and striving as quickly as possible to really transfer that knowledge and that place of I can handle these hard aspects of life, which we're going to
Yeah.
have,
Yeah.
because I'm resilient and I could always check in the future, but like I'm not coming with the answers.
Mhm.
Someone doesn't need me
Right.
to be their best self. Like that's
Right.
them. They just haven't accessed it as
Yep.
fully as they deserve to.
Right. And as part of that, and this just made me think of this is
Yeah.
because, and I wanted to bring in social media and the role of social media in increasing anxiety in people.
Hmm.
But is part of our inability to learn these strategies on our own the result of because our phones are so attached to us and like we can go through and never have that like that down moment of, well, there's nothing to do and I'm quiet and I'm in my head and I'm bored and I'm just gonna have to sit here and think.
I do think technology is like will be the downfall of civilization. Like I really
Yeah,
it's bad. It's bad
yeah.
to be socially disconnected, and it's
Hmm.
bad to expect a second later another dopamine rush, and it's bad
Right.
to have less time like being bored and having to there's so many reasons why it's
Yeah.
we gotta find a way to like keep it in its lane. But in terms of people finding their own solution or using their own healing resources, anxiety is really confusing because most of the time when we get a signal like, oh no, there's something wrong.
Hmm.
Oh no, my tire's flat. I need to fix it.
Right.
Call AAA or do
Right.
something. Most of the time when there's a problem, we listen to our mind, our frontal
Hmm.
cortex, our amygdala might react and say, oh no, something's wrong. But with anxiety, we often are getting this false alarm. So if we just listened to our mind that's saying, oh no, that meeting is really, don't participate in that meeting because you're going to
Hmm.
get laughed at. You don't know what you're talking about. Like the very message that we're getting internal is a bit of a false alarm that was more
Right.
helpful for our ancestors. So you kind of need it's like a house of mirrors, like someone to help you shift sometimes, or even tools to help you shift,
Yeah.
because from your own perspective, it is in fact true. It feels that dangerous
Right.
or
Right.
scary to touch a germ or whatever the source of anxiety that might be holding someone hostage. Like it's really
Right.
hard to get unfused or like
Hmm.
unstuck. Like you're kind of seeing the world through it.
Gotcha.
So just and sometimes people feel like rationally I know I'm okay and I'm just weak that I can't figure it out. But it's confusing when one part of your brain is saying it's fine, but then another part is sending a signal I'm not fine.
Right.
Who doesn't deserve a little extra perspective?
Yeah. No, that totally makes sense. And that's, I mean, and I've seen that in I've got two teenagers, and so I've
Uh-huh.
seen that
How
in
old are
them.
they?
14 and almost 16. She'll be 16 next week.
Yeah, 14,
So,
17, and 18. So yeah,
yeah.
similar.
Yep.
ages.
So in like school nowadays, like I don't know how many people I've talked to my generation that are like, I would not want to be in high school right now, like with all the different challenges that are going on.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
and not just there's the challenges from the technology and the social media side, but there's also the pressure to go on to a high level college, or
Mhm.
even not a high level college, but just a restrictive, entrance. Like
Mhm.
it is so much more difficult now to
Right.
get to that level. And
Mhm.
so the anxiety that my daughter had as a freshman in high school about her grades, I was like, I never felt that.
You're like, "I will no matter what."
And so I was like, I mean, I understand it, I hear it, but like I don't know how to help that because I never went through
Yeah.
it.
But I think as a parent to send the signal, and you have to know your kid too. So if you have a very
Sure.
conscientious kid, like if you have a kid that's more of a free spirit and more like whatever, that like here are the consequences, you gotta lock in. So like
Right.
you gotta parent to the child. But assuming you
Sure.
do have a child who's like, gotta get it right, there's no room for wrong, like saying, like, you know what? I you know, I hope you do get some wrong. Good. Like,
Right.
I hope you practice what it's like to not know an answer because there's gonna be so many of them. And like, I don't even wanna like let me know if you tried 85%
Mhm.
and tolerated you might not know stuff. That's what I want. So I think
Yeah.
by holding a space for that, that's what we can do from the
Right.
sidelines.
Right. And that's sort of the way that we try and parent. It's like
Yeah.
you're going to make mistakes. It's okay.
Right.
Right? Like there's no other way around it. I know
Right.
at 16, I mean, one thing that I did share with her is that yeah, I thought I knew everything in the world, right? Like what teenager doesn't think they know everything? Um, and so it's like, okay, you're going to make mistakes because I'm on the other end of it now, and I know that those
Right.
things are going to happen. You're going to fail at different things that you thought you're
Right.
going to be great at, and all this stuff. But for the person that is also dealing with anxiety and has those things come up, that can that can lead to things like panic attacks and all these other
Yeah.
things, right?
Yeah. Yeah. If it feels, black or white or everything's catastrophic, that like if X happens, that means Y is going to happen.
Mhm.
Um, our brain is kind of saying it's similar to like, oh no, there's a lion about to attack me. Like, oh no, I just got a few problems wrong. Like our
Right.
brain, when it senses danger, is supposed to fight, flight, freeze. But modern life, there's like 1,000 little like mini mini little challenge zones that
Right.
weren't meant for the full on sympathetic nervous system response. So that's kind of where so much extra anxiety our brain's
Yeah.
trying to help us like all the time, all day long with stuff that are like challenges, but not
Right.
to our survival.
Right. Right. And that's like, is that the like how would you explain, or am I even getting this wrong? Because I
Yeah.
obviously don't know as
Yeah.
the anxiety world as much. But I look at it as like, okay, well, there's situational anxiety, like taking a test, learning to drive. My daughter's doing that, right? Like coming up to an intersection or getting on the interstate for the first time. Like,
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, you're white knuckling it. You're like, oh my gosh, what is going on? This trucker just drove by me at like 80 miles an
Mhm.
hour, and but then there's the okay, I'm the person that's always anxious no matter what's going on. Is
Mhm.
there a difference between those, like how they come up
Yeah,
in
well,
us?
it's starting you're entering more of an official, anxiety disorder within the
Mhm.
DSM that, um, is how we diagnose mental health conditions in terms of it's all on a spectrum. So everyone's gonna have moments of sadness,
Sure.
moments of worry, moments of terror, but it's how often are those moments happening?
Okay.
How impairing when they happen? How much distress is it causing in your overall life? And
Right.
how long has it been happen? Like, maybe there's just a week of you're going through standardized tests where you're just it's happening a lot, but
Sure.
that's over a week versus over the course of 6 months. So,
Right.
all of those different considerations move from kinda like normal emotional pain and
Yeah.
discomfort, which is built into the human experience, to more of a disorder where the point is that it's it's getting in the way of one's life and how they wanna live their life,
Right.
and we could always be proactive. Like, I always tell people, like, learning tools that you could use even before it actually is happening
Hmm.
5 out of 7 days, and it's been going on for 4 months. Like, it's fine even to get help if it's happening more frequently than you would like, and
Yeah.
being proactive isn't a bad thing. I think sometimes people feel like, "I shouldn't need it," but
Right.
why not?
Right. Well, and it's and I mean I've told people this like so many times is like, okay, that somebody who's older is out of shape, who's not eating right, not exercising and da da da. And like they know they're supposed to do those certain things to
Right.
take care of themselves, but it's not until after the heart attack or the stroke or that something major happens that they go, "Oh my gosh, I don't want to go through that again."
Yeah, yeah, 'cause
And
knowing what to do
yeah,
is one thing, but it's really, really hard because our brains in that moment are like, "This is what I wanna do now." We don't always hold the future in the same place, so
right.
people feel guilty, like, "Why am I doing something that's not good?" Because it's
Right.
hard. Our
Sure.
brains aren't making contact with that future consequence the way it is with the immediate short-term desire.
Right. And that comparison factor and I mean that's been around for years and years and decades of, this person, keeping up with the Joneses and
Mhm.
all that stuff. And it gets so like magnified with social media and the kids that are
Yeah,
growing up with it that have never had anything else and
right,
and don't know the differences of no, you can have a great life without all of those things that you see
right.
other people bragging
Yeah.
about.
I think I didn't list that on my technology tirade, but, like, the comparisons,
Hmm.
it's one thing, like, we were growing up and maybe everyone had, like, the golden child in their class, like, 1 or 2, and
Right.
that feared like they had everything, and then sort of, like, everyone else, but when it feels like, in fact, these golden people are like, everyone else are the golden people, and it's just you
Right.
that's the loser.
Yeah.
It's, um and I think in some ways, like, they know, like, this isn't everyone, but I think in some ways they really do feel like
Hmm.
everyone has this
Yep.
shiny component to them, and they're the only ones who don't, because everyone's
Yep.
not showing their less ideal things.
Right.
It's ay, ay, ay. I think more moments of connection
Hmm.
is the answer, more
Yeah.
moments of, like, authentic connecting, and I think the more moments people have of that, you can't beat it, and
Right.
that it's like
Well,
a good
and and I love the word authentic because I love to tell people that too. Is like is because it's to be authentic. The other thing I think about when I think about that, as far as connecting and having a relationship with person, and whether it's a close or just an occasional friend or just, but being humble enough to say, yeah, my life is tough right now,
Mhm.
right? In this area or that area, or I'll like being able to open up and just ask for help
Mhm.
is a major step, right?
Yeah.
And like a lot of people are scared to do that.
And that's like a lot of our anxiety treatment. We do exposure-based anxiety and
Hmm.
cognitive behavioral therapy. So we work cognition. So what are
Right.
the thoughts, maybe catastrophic, unrealistic. We're not trying to offer ourselves uh, unrealistic counter thoughts like,
Right.
no, everything is terrible. No, everything's wonderful. Everyone loves me. No, but like, what is the data that in fact everyone thinks that you're awful? Like, is
Right.
there a more realistic part? And then the behavioral part is often like practicing in different, we create hierarchies and different bite-sized opportunities to make contact with the fears. So if the fear is a lot of, modern social anxiety, fear of judgment, and so really to practice like, I am flawed. Like,
Hmm.
sometimes we'll practice, someone has a fear of public speaking, like just flubbing it and just
Yeah.
practice what's it feel like to have that like wrong, not ideal moment, and
Right.
then how do we sit together and like open up, and like I do a lot of like now just make room for that,
Hmm.
even if it's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Can we handle that? So we do a lot of, like, practicing
Yeah.
that vulnerability, or, like, that tolerating the parts of ourselves that maybe don't feel shiny, and
Hmm.
And so it is a very active
Yeah.
process,
Yeah.
hard to do by yourself sometimes, but
Right.
important.
Yeah. Well, and I love that, and I can see that being something that, like, because I would I mean, we tend to lie to ourselves, right? And like you said, like, everybody hates me, or everybody thinks I'm this, or everybody's like, well, no, I mean, we take it to that extreme. And, did someone say something bad, or did someone say something critical? And okay, yeah, okay, fine.
Yeah, that
But
might be
that's that
true.
one person,
Right,
you
right.
know. And
Yeah,
but when we take
and,
it
like, our
to
anxiety
everybody,
yeah, our anxiety brain, though, will take it like, "Oh, no, that person might think you're annoying. Oh, no, everyone's gonna think you're annoying if you ask them to hang out." So, anxiety is always trying to protect us. So that part of
right,
our brain is like, "Don't go in that cave, you might get eaten alive," but so it's trying to take that little bit of evidence that, yeah, that person did think you're annoying, but does that mean everyone? And it's sending you the message like, "Don't
right,
risk it."
right.
But then in the process, like, our lives get smaller and we believe that is true. It
Mhm,
is dangerous to do X or Y.
right. Well, and one of the things that I helped myself with when I first opened my business and started doing, like, videos on Facebook and social media to, like, promote it, and then, of course, doing the podcast and stuff, and, like, getting that feel, because I grew up, like, a major introvert, like,
Mhm.
was not a talker or any of that kind of stuff, and now, do
Oh,
speaking events and all that kind of
yeah.
stuff, and it's I say it's easy, but I also look at it from the standpoint of, okay, if I mess up, I mess up, like, it's not the end of the world.
Right.
I can always fix it,
Right.
and and I can, if I make fun of myself doing it, then it, like, lightens that aspect. If I say
Right.
something wrong and I'm like, "Oh, I totally messed that up, sorry," you know, it for me, I don't spend the rest of the night going, "Oh my gosh, I wish I would've said this, or I should have said that, or what did they think about me when I said this and that?" And because the old introvert me that didn't like to talk to people and didn't like to be in crowds and didn't like, would think, like, when I actually
Right.
got in those situations, like, "Oh my gosh, did I screw something up? Are they like, what are they saying behind my back?" And all that kind of stuff.
And do you think that you got to the place of realizing, like, I put myself out there and I'll do the next thing. If someone just told you it'll be fine, don't worry about it, would that have worked? Or what got you to this place of being willing to just kinda, like, stumble through it and do the next thing?
At the beginning, it was somebody that said, "You know what? You're just starting out. You're going to get like 5 people that watch it. So who
Yeah.
cares?"
Uh-huh.
Right? Like, at the beginning, like, not everybody's going to be watching it. It's not like
Right.
you're not going to have that, like, statistically, you're not going to have
Right,
that
like,
moment that
right. Them
5
pointing
million
out,
people
like,
see
if
it.
you mess up so, like, your cousin and, like, 2 other people will
Yeah.
see it. Okay, that
Yeah.
actually helped realizing, like, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And then it sounds like through the experience taught you.
Right, the experience teaches you, and then you just get easy, it becomes
Right,
easier, and you learn what to say, you learn what to ask, you learn how to
right,
keep the conversation flowing, and and then it becomes like, okay, this is natural almost to be able to
right.
do this. And people comment about, like, "Oh my gosh, that was amazing. You did great with that," or "You did," and it's like, "Oh,
Mhm.
if you only knew where I came from."
Yeah. Well, there's no teacher-like experience, and so we
Yeah.
always say, like, you have to do the behavior first. If you
Mhm.
wait, that's the behavioral part of CBT. If you wait to be
Right.
ready, you
Yeah.
will not do anything. Like, but if you keep kind of opening up
Mhm.
to the uncertainty and taking that next step, you don't have to leap off a cliff, but, like,
Yeah.
definitely into the unknown of from the point that you know exactly what you're gonna do and be right to that next place where you're gonna be playing a little bit and then learning, like, that's where the growth happens, and
Right.
there's no other way.
Right. And so is that, like, the way you said that made me think, like, is that idea of trying to be a perfectionist, like, does that fit in with anxiety?
Oh, yeah. Perfectionism is I mean, I it each anxiety disorder has, like, a core fear and then
Mhm.
behavior. So, like, social anxiety, the core fear of, "Oh, no, um, someone's gonna judge me." What are the behaviors? Like, reviewing, avoiding,
Mhm.
uh uh, planning ahead, trying to make sure you get it right. And so perfectionism is very tied with like it can be tied with OCD, with generalized anxiety disorder. So it's the like perfectionism core fears. Oh no, if I get anything wrong, that will be a disaster. If
Yeah.
if I make a mistake, it is intolerable. I will not be able to live with
Right.
the discomfort that comes with that. And then each person has their own. It might mean what that will mean socially or what it will mean for them about themselves or why will it feel so bad to make a mistake has a little
Mhm.
bit of a personal narrative.
Yeah.
But then the behaviors one engages in are overly checking, being overly careful, not taking risks unless there's certainty, a lot of rigidity. So procrastination,
Mhm.
perfectionism is
Yeah.
pretty tied to procrastination because how many things can you actually do because you've already established that, in fact, you will definitely not make a mistake. Like, I don't
Right.
know a single thing I could do that, like, I won't know that I won't make some kind of mistake.
Right. Because in even the people that are the utmost, world leading experts in whatever it is, they make mistakes in
Mhm.
stuff that they're supposed to be the best of the best of the best,
Right.
and I think sometimes when if we realize that like, okay, well, nobody I think we all know nobody can be perfect, but we forget when we're
Right.
dealing with ourselves that nobody can be perfect because we wanna be perfect.
Right. And I feel like sometimes it just sounds like parent yapping, like, "Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, no one's perfect, blah, 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 but anyway, I must be." Like, it sounds like something
Right.
that I guess that is true, but it's not helpful, and I still need to be. It's like
Yeah.
it lives in a part of our brain that doesn't feel particularly helpful
Mhm.
until we make more
Right.
contact with it. Like we
Yeah.
do things like I have in a lot of different ways. I have like an anxiety workbook for teens, for parents, for
Mhm.
kids, but like this is our new one for kids. And we have something like the get it wrong game. And so we'll just
Mhm.
practice like actively rewarding different ways to play with, like, getting things wrong, like,
Gotcha. Yep.
spelling something as wrong as you can, like,
Yeah.
draw a picture with your eyes shut and make it as messy as possible, like, how do we practice
Yeah.
having fun with getting things wrong?
Mhm. Well, and again, so going back to school, like, right? Because
Mhm.
school is all about, like, get everything right, and so it can be really difficult to be because you're in a guaranteed comparison situation with your friends because it's like, "Oh, what did you get on that test?" And, "I didn't do as well," and it automatically and that's been around for years and years and years, it sets you back. Um, and I had a my older sister was, like, the smartest of the
Superstar?
smartest of them, like, you know, um, but I had the sports side and she
Yeah.
didn't. So, I had my thing that I could rely
Mhm.
on, right? And so is that another piece of, like, remembering that, okay, I may not be the best at this, which, maybe I want to be, maybe I don't want to be, but I still have these other things that I'm really good at. Nobody's gonna be great at everything.
Right, and I think understanding, like, for each of us to try to understand ourselves, and there are different worksheets and exercises, like a strength finder, like, what are
Mhm.
my nobody is gonna be across the board unless they're maybe like ChatGPT. No, it messes up
Right.
too. But like everyone has some things that they're gonna lead with that are their
Yeah,
strengths, and some people like struggles, and every single person's gonna have some of those. But when we don't know what they are, or we're leading with maybe like, trying to do things that involve a lot of spatial reasoning, but that's actually a challenge. But if we did use more like our verbal skills, debate club, like,
right.
and sometimes like we do neuropsych testing, for example, when someone might be struggling at school, or there might be something undiagnosed, but sometimes it's a really nice gift even for an adult who, like, their whole life just felt like, "I'm an underperformer, I'm just lazy." Like,
Right.
nobody's striving to be lazy, but chances
Yeah.
are you kind of learned that it felt a little hopeless. Like, if you do X or Y, it's not gonna work out, and you haven't yet tapped into what are your strengths and how to lead
Mhm.
from them, and it's not always obvious, and it's not like
Yeah.
traditional school just points that out, like, "Wow, like, you have amazing processing speed." Like,
Right.
you could really there's just so many there it's not something that we unless it's, like, the most traditional forms of intelligence that we see,
Yeah.
and then someone just and might not be an environment that recognizes those, and so really trying to there are some free quizzes to, like, figure out what are your strengths, and then how do you
Right.
map that with different experiences. We're not
Mhm.
always gonna sometimes, like, I have to do things that, like, don't like, I might try to build table from,
Right.
like, that came in a box, and I literally can't rotate an object in my mind, and
Yeah.
but that's what I need to do in that moment, and that's
Mhm.
not one of my strengths, and I'll
Yeah.
muddle through it.
Yeah. Um, well, and it's funny. So my son's on the other side of the spectrum, is like you mentioned earlier, like the free spirit that just doesn't care and it's like
Yeah.
la 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 whatever, and because we're like, we have homework. No, I don't. No. Well, you're missing stuff. No, I'm not. And we're like, the computer says you are. Oh, like so it's like that's where technology is helpful with him. Um, but and so my wife like often will say, like, oh my gosh, what's he gonna do? Like, we don't know what his educational side strengths are because
Yeah.
he doesn't care yet, and I'm
How's
like,
this, like, social
oh my
how's
gosh,
your
he
social
is
intelligence?
everybody's friend.
Okay, I mean, wow.
Like,
Talk about a job that AI cannot replace.
exactly, and we were watching a show um a couple of weeks ago, and they were on a cruise, and they were talking about the different roles in the cruise, and the cruise director was like talking about all the, I'm planning all the parties and I'm doing all this and I'm
Yeah.
interacting with everybody. And I was like, he could do that
And
100%. That's like him 100%,
that's amazing.
and
So,
so
I mean, sales and relationship development
yep.
and,
And stuff that you're not getting
yeah,
when you're taking geometry and history
right, which
and
is
English.
unfortunate that earlier we don't kinda do that kind of
Right.
strength identification,
Yeah. But so
but
people that get
I
all
put
the
a
way
lot of
through to whatever their ending of school is, and they're trying to figure out what they're gonna do with their
right,
life, and I can see how that becomes a real big problem because, like, okay, I've gotta get a job, I've gotta make money, I've gotta do these things,
right.
and 10, 15, 20 years down the road, I'm developing all these anxiety issues because I never found what I
Right.
really should be
And
doing.
I mean, I see that of just people that, like, are kinda beaten down and feel like, "I'm just lazy, and I'm I don't work hard enough, I don't," and I'm like, You are phenomenal." Like, the way you just like, they'll just share
Mhm.
different information, like, it's so easy for me to see just all these things that bring to the table, but life is sort of traditional education and, like, beating them down in terms of understanding really what really makes them so dynamic.
Yeah,
Um, I'm sort of building that up and helping them make contact
right.
with those parts and pivoting and shifting at any point, really. I've seen
Yeah.
people pivot.
Because anxiety is not like, to get to the point of being diagnosed with an issue or a disorder, it can happen at any point, right? It's not like if you make it past this age, you're not gonna deal with it.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say, as very young, and we might be working more with the parents if it's
Mhm.
like a 3-year-old that won't separate no matter what
Right.
drop off. They're still the ones, like, in the classroom or other forms, teeny tiny guys to someone later in their life that was always working really hard, always fine, always in control, maybe a loss of a spouse or something happening, and then just
Mhm.
it could come on maybe somaticizing of, like, feeling like they're having a heart attack or
Right.
and after lots of workups, like, that thank goodness maybe that's not happening, but there's something else happening. So,
Right.
yeah, at any point when our mind chooses for something to surface for us, it can surface.
Yeah.
Mind and body.
Right. Well, yeah, because sometimes it is the body that's,
Mhm.
because that mind-body connection is so
Yeah,
strong,
yeah,
and so
and it
it's
is real. It's not that,
yeah,
in fact, your stomach is not hurting or your head doesn't feel foggy, or it's not that
right,
someone's saying, like, "Oh, you're crazy," or "It's just in your head." It is, in fact, wherever you're feeling it.
right.
But what can we do for that?
Yeah. And that's not like you said right there, that phrase, like, "It's all in your head," or "It's just in your head." Like, that I can imagine that for somebody dealing with anxiety, whether it's in that moment or just maybe they're fine right then, but they're just talking about the things that are going on, and they're like, "No, it's all in your head. It's all in your head." Like, that's gotta be one of the worst things that you can hear.
It's not very validating. It definitely
Yeah.
could create shame because it's like an invisible injury. Like, your
Mhm.
life looks perfect. You have nothing is wrong, yet you feel like you're dying or going crazy, and
Yeah.
you don't even know what it is, and you're you feel ashamed, you should be stronger, so versus, like, you have a broken leg, like, yes,
Right.
you have crutches, like, that is
Yeah.
hard for you to get out of the car, like,
Right.
it
Yeah.
it, um, it could click a little more for others,
Mhm.
and it feels like a more valid injury.
Right. And then, like, for somebody who is listening to this and thinking like, "Okay, well, that they're talking about some of the things that I deal with and I think about, and I've never thought maybe they've never thought that anxiety was an issue for them, but they're
Mhm.
starting to realize like, oh, a lot of these things are like like you said earlier, like getting the tools is in a preventative way, right? It is very beneficial, and it's like, how do they go about getting those tools?
I would say, because it's hard to generalize, if someone is thinking like, "Huh, okay, never thought that I had, like, an anxiety disorder or needed,
Hmm.
like, therapy," but I do relate to sometimes, like, a wave of panic or
Hmm.
so what I would call social anxiety, like, fearing judgment so much that it stops me from doing things.
Right.
Um, is this worthy of help, or should like, I wouldn't mind getting a little freedom from this, but I don't even know what it is.
Right.
Um, I think sometimes, like, a good primary care physician might be they've become a lot of, like, frontline mental health where of, like, I don't know if this is something you could help me with, but I have noticed, uh, if you go in even just, like, an example sometimes,
Hmm.
like, giving, or it could even be someone in your community, like, if you have a good friend, do you know of anyone who's helpful? But I do like, depending on your comfort level, starting with a primary care physician, and you
Right.
could just say, like, I was listening to a webinar and I realized, like, sometimes I do overly fear what people if they're gonna judge me,
Right.
and maybe give an example, like, I was supposed to go to a meeting and I ended up getting a really bad stomach ache, and I called in sick that day.
Yeah.
Do you and then ask, like, "Do you know anyone, like, in our community that could be helpful with this, or do you have any thoughts?" Um, you could also take one of those if it's like a initial realization of I thought it was just me.
Yeah.
It's amazing what obviously, like, you can either Google or even, like, put it into ChatGPT of, like, "I'm having these kinda
Hmm.
symptoms. Can you ask me some questions to figure out what is there, like, a condition it might hang with?" And then you
Right.
could, from there, just buy, like, a workbook. Like, we have, I'm just gonna show you, like, for example, this is a workbook on, like, one of ours on, like, managing intrusive thoughts. So, like,
Right.
bothersome thought that show up. So, I would sometimes a good workbook is a really nice starting place, and
Hmm.
just when it's pre-diagnosis, but you just wanna kinda learn a little bit more,
Right.
but you might not know what workbook to buy. So, I feel like
Sure.
between Googling a little bit, on our website, lightonanxiety.com, I have a bunch of free assessment screeners that you could take to just kinda
Cool.
poke around a little bit
Yeah.
to get a little more clarity about
Right.
what condition might hang
Yeah.
the symptoms might be part of a cluster to buy a
Right.
workbook.
Right.
So,
Well, and
yeah.
the the tools that you want them to be successful for you, right? And so you
Mhm.
want them to be more in line with what you're
Yeah,
experiencing.
right.
Yeah.
Which is what it and so I don't want it to sound overwhelming
Mhm.
how to get started, because like, how to take a baby step forward in something that can be
Yeah.
complicated, and a good workbook with really good reviews as you're getting closer to, like, the kind of symptoms that you're experiencing can really help you take that next step forward.
Right. Um, and because whether it's learning the tools and being able to manage it on your own or seeing someone like yourself, like the help is there
Mhm.
and you can get past
Yeah.
and learn how to manage these things to where life becomes back to quote unquote normal.
Yeah, or even, like, better, dare
Yeah.
I say, in terms of learning, uh, that you don't always have to believe your anxiety. It's still gonna show up, so people first, when they start off treatment, like, "Okay, my goal is to get rid of anxiety," but if we did, we might, like, walk in front of trucks, and we might not fear future situations that, like, maybe we should fear, so
Right.
the answer isn't, like, a full lobotomy, although sometimes it feels like it's so uncomfortable, I want it to stop, but how do we have it when it's showing up, and if there's a message that's something we're supposed to learn from it, fine, and then move through it,
Mhm.
and learning that you can handle that discomfort versus spending your whole life trying to not have it, and then your world gets so
Right.
small.
Yeah.
When you realize that you can handle uncomfortable thoughts and feelings, you could take those with you if you have to, and then do the
Yeah.
things you wanna do.
Right. Yeah, because I mean, you don't want to just get rid of it. Like, you still need
Mhm.
that. Like, okay, wait, this, whether it's I'm pumping gas and it's like, wait,
Yeah,
this is making me anxious. This situation, the way things are looking around here around me.
yeah,
You still need to be able to have that alert system.
right. Or maybe, like, don't say a really offensive joke in front of people you just met, or
Right.
don't make fun of someone at work meeting. Like, some of the, like, "Don't do that"
Hmm.
does stem from things that we
Yeah.
shouldn't do.
Yeah. Yeah. But we don't want to be stuck in that and
Right,
never do anything.
right. 'Cause
Yeah.
if we always listen to it, it's we just get boxed in and boxed in and boxed in,
Yeah.
and we get a lot of relief when we don't do that, okay, and then you feel better. Don't do that,
Right.
okay, you feel better, but, like, it pretty quickly, there'll be a lot of things that you can't do,
Yeah.
and it's never enough.
Right. And is it it's always there in in some form or fashion, like, even after you say, quote, "have graduated from treatment plans," like, is it still something that's gonna be like, "Okay, wait, yeah, I'm gonna have this situation come up. I know I'm gonna feel this anxiety. I know how to deal with it, and I can move on with life?"
Well, I'd say your brain wiring is additive, so it's always underneath, and if your brain has a tendency to, like, a coping behavior, maybe an ineffective coping behavior, some people have a tendency to maybe, like, get more depressed and shut down,
Mm,
and they might learn how to stay activated, but when things get really hard, that's their default, or someone else
right.
might, when they get really anxious, like, just don't do that, everything's dangerous, so when enough stress piles on, will, our the way that our brain starts trying to cope with
Mhm.
being in a really stressed out, it'll probably go back to that similar place,
Right.
but you now have more tools of how to handle those moments, so it's like
Right.
we never could go back to how it felt before we knew what was
Mhm.
going on and had some
Yeah.
ideas of how to get past it, so
Right.
it might be like, a few steps forward, one step back, but, like, you're never actually back to where you started. You actually can't,
Right.
because all these learnings have happened on top of it.
Okay. Cool. That makes sense. Um, so before we finish up, I wanna make sure that, like, you give us something that, like, for somebody out there that, like I said, maybe they're starting to realize that some of these things are, or they know, like, okay, I'm in anxious situations and I know that, and I'm afraid to ask for help. because fear is part of anxiety. Like I'm
Yeah. No,
afraid
it's
to
very
be,
normal.
maybe I'm afraid to
Yeah.
let my friends know. Maybe I'm
Yeah.
afraid of, that piece. And so like, I don't want to get help because it's going to open up the door and
Right.
let everybody know. I mean, obviously the dealings with the psychologist are going to be private,
Mhm.
right? And confidential. But that fear, like that fear of somebody seeing you walk into the psychologist office. You don't even know why you're there, but those
Yeah,
types of things.
and I think before when someone's at their most, like, untreated anxiety, that's when it's at its worst, which is unfortunately the time where they need to take
Mhm.
what feels like a really big risk. Because once you are getting help for anxiety, it's like, "All right, I am human, I'm imperfect,"
Yeah,
and we really at Light on Anxiety try to make it like going to the hair salon or going to PT or going to the gym, like,
right,
it's like a gym for your brain, that this is only a sign of trying to, like, get stronger
right,
and flip the script that so many of us feel maybe at different times that, like, to s to have struggles means that we're broken.
right.
But unfortunately, the hardest part is when you haven't kinda learned some of these things, trying to get yourself to
Yeah,
take that risk, but it is a lot of healing that just comes with being willing to tolerate what it feels like that maybe I do need some help.
right. Cool. And you've written several books and you mentioned your workbooks and the tools that you have online, and
Mhm.
it's
And lots of free
lightonanxiety.com,
tools.
right?
Yeah, lightanxiety.com. We've got
Okay.
lots of free assessments and blogs and resources just to kinda as you're if someone is exploring and just getting to know some of these concepts.
Mhm.
Because the goal is as you are exploring, there's so much scary stuff that you might stumble upon too, that if you just
Oh, yeah.
Google, "I'm scared all the time," and then you end up on, like, a Reddit thread of, "I haven't left my home in 50 years, and it only gets worse, and
Yeah,
now I" just be careful too, because our brains are sensitive, and, like, if
right.
I'm not saying delude ourselves, but also, like, if something feels really, like, extreme,
Yeah.
maybe stick with more of, like, a WebMD or more balanced
Mhm.
versus
Right,
people trying to get information that might be in a very stuck place themselves.
right. Yeah, no, I had an issue several years ago with my lung in looking up treatments and things
Oh,
and what the doctor said, and then you started hearing stories from people talking
oh,
about how it
terrifying.
went wrong, and it's just like, I'm like, "Oh my gosh," and so it's like, and because there's the people that say like, "It's never gonna get better, you're gonna deal with
Right,
it the rest of your life," and I'm like, "Okay, that doesn't sound like what the doctor said." So,
right.
like,
Yeah.
so
Yeah, so
yeah,
it's okay
I
to, like,
agree with that.
put some guidelines, like blinders on yourself just to
Yeah,
not go down, like, rabbit holes of
right.
other
'Cause I
people's
would
ex.
imagine with specifically with anxiety, that's probably the worst place you wanna go.
Yeah, yeah, and I think everyone's out there just trying to heal in their own way, but at this
Mhm.
point, like, trying to be careful with your information sources.
Right. Yep. No, perfect. Well, Dr. Kissen, I wanna thank you so much. It's been a great conversation.
Yeah, really fun. I'm glad that we had the opportunity to chat,
Yep.
and yeah, just wonderful. I look forward to hearing how this all comes together.
Awesome. Thanks for checking out the Confidence Through Health podcast. Please subscribe, post a review, share this episode with those you love who need a little extra help with their health journey. Visit allinhealthandwellness.com to learn more about the coaching programs that I provide. All episodes are produced by the Social Media Cowboys, your source for all online marketing needs. Go to socialmediacowboys.com for more information.